Don't skip this. Seriously, something important is waiting for you here. Welcome to the channel.
Listen to me carefully, because this message is urgent. This is not for everyone. This is only for God's chosen ones. If you are not walking the divine path, if you are not serious about God, you will feel uncomfortable right now, and that is your sign to leave. But if you are a true follower of Christ, if you have been set apart, if your spirit is alert as you hear my voice, then this message is meant for you. And I say this with full authority. It has reached you at the exact right time. Not early, not late. Perfectly timed by God. Chosen ones, God says justice has already been released. What you prayed about, what you cried about in silence, what you never explained to anyone, He handled it. Justice hit her hours ago, even if you don't see it yet. Something shifted in the spiritual realm, and your season is changing as we speak. Stay with me till the end, because what I'm about to reveal will bring peace to your mind, strength to your spirit, and confirmation to your heart. Before we continue, chosen ones, give a like to this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, tap the bell icon, and share this message with other chosen ones who need this confirmation. And comment 777 in the comments to declare that you are aligned with God's divine timing and purpose. The hidden weight the chosen ones have been carrying. Chosen ones, let me speak to you gently now, but with truth. There is a weight you have been carrying that very few people could ever understand. You didn't talk about it much. You didn't complain. You didn't ask for sympathy. You just kept going. You smiled when you had to. You showed strength when you were exhausted. And at night, when no one could see you, that weight sat heavy on your chest. This is the hidden burden of the chosen ones. You have carried emotional pressure that was never meant to break you, but to build you. You have carried misunderstandings, false assumptions, and silent judgment. People looked at you and thought you were strong, so they never asked how you were really doing. They assumed you could handle everything, so they added more to your plate, and you, being who you are, didn't resist. You endured, you trusted God, you kept your heart clean even when others didn't. That takes a toll. There were moments you questioned yourself, not God, but yourself. You asked quietly, "Am I doing something wrong? Why does obedience feel so lonely? Why do I give love and receive distance?" These thoughts didn't make you weak, they made you human, and God never judged you for them. He saw every tear you swallowed. He heard every prayer you whispered when you didn't have the strength to speak out loud. Chosen ones often suffer in silence because they are wired differently. You feel deeply, you discern energy, you sense shifts before they happen. You walk into rooms and immediately know who is genuine and who is not. That level of awareness is a gift, but it also makes life heavier. You can't pretend. You can't unsee what you see. You can't unfeel what you feel, and because of that, your spirit has been under constant pressure. You were tested emotionally, spiritually, mentally. You had to learn how to stay calm when provoked, how to stay quiet when accused, how to stay loving when mistreated. And let me tell you something important. This was not accidental. God was strengthening your inner man. He was training you to respond with wisdom, not reaction. To observe instead of explaining, to trust Him instead of defending yourself. But still, the weight was real. Some of you carried guilt that was never yours. You carried responsibility for other people's emotions. You carried relationships longer than God intended because you believed it was your duty to hold things together. You stayed when you should have been protected. You forgave when you were still bleeding. You prayed for people who were secretly praying against you, and through it all, you kept your heart soft. That is not weakness, that is spiritual strength. Yet even strength gets tired. There were days you woke up already exhausted. Days when your body felt heavy for no medical reason. Nights when your mind wouldn't rest because it was replaying conversations, memories, and unanswered questions. You felt drained after certain interactions, but you couldn't explain why. That's because your spirit was carrying battles your mouth never spoke about. Let me say this clearly so it settles in your heart. God saw every moment. Nothing went unnoticed. Not the betrayal, not the disrespect, not the manipulation, not the way people took advantage of your kindness. You were never foolish. You were faithful. And there is a difference. Chosen ones are often targeted not because they are weak, but because they are anointed. Darkness recognizes light. Insecurity recognizes confidence. Broken people are drawn to whole people, not always to heal, but sometimes to drain. And you felt that. You felt how people leaned on you, took from you, and rarely poured back. That imbalance is exhausting. But here is the part you need to hear now, slowly and clearly. That season of carrying heavy emotional weight is coming to an end. God does not allow his chosen ones to remain burdened forever. There comes a moment when he steps in and says, "Enough. Enough confusion, enough silent suffering, enough endurance without relief." That is where you are now. The weight you have been carrying was not meant to crush you, it was meant to prepare you. And preparation seasons always end with release. You are not meant to explain yourself anymore. You are not meant to convince anyone of your intentions. You are not meant to keep proving your heart. God has already validated you. And when God validates you, human opinions lose their power. Let your shoulders relax for a moment. Breathe. You don't have to be on guard all the time now. You don't have to keep replaying the past. You don't have to carry what God has already decided to handle himself. The reason you feel a strange calm lately, even before things make sense, is because your spirit knows something your eyes haven't seen yet. Justice is connected to release, and release is connected to rest. You are allowed to rest now, not physically only, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually. You are allowed to stop overthinking, to stop self-blaming, to stop asking why people couldn't meet you at your level. They were never meant to. God was separating you quietly, not punishing you. Chosen ones, the weight you carried refined you. It didn't define you. And now, as that weight lifts, you will begin to feel like yourself again. Clear, grounded, steady, not hardened, but wiser, not closed, but discerning. And this time, you won't carry what was never yours to hold. And let me add this, because your spirit needs to hear it. Some of you have been blaming yourself for how deeply things affected you. You told yourself you should have been stronger, faster to move on, quicker to detach. But that voice was never from God. Sensitivity is not a flaw when it is guided by wisdom. Your ability to feel deeply is part of your calling. It allows you to love sincerely, to intercede with compassion, and to understand people beyond their words. The problem was never your heart. The problem was that too many people had access to it. God allowed you to feel the weight so you would learn discernment, not bitterness. He allowed the exhaustion so you would learn boundaries, not isolation. And now that lesson has been sealed. You won't repeat the same cycles. You won't ignore the same red flags, not because you are afraid, but because you are awake. There is a quiet strength rising in you now. Not loud, not defensive, just steady. You are beginning to understand that peace is a form of power. And as that understanding settles in, the heaviness you once carried will no longer recognize you. Understanding divine justice. How God moves without noise. Chosen ones, now let me teach you something that will bring rest to your mind. Divine justice does not move the way human justice moves. God does not argue. He does not announce himself. He does not explain his plans to people who chose not to listen when he was giving warnings. When God decides to act, he moves without noise, quietly, precisely, completely. This is where many people misunderstand God. They expect justice to look dramatic. They expect public exposure, loud apologies, visible shame. But God is not interested in satisfying human emotions. He is interested in restoring divine order. And divine order is always established in the unseen before it manifests in the seen. You must understand this, especially as a chosen one. When God told you to be still, it wasn't because he was passive. It was because he was active in a realm you couldn't access. Silence was not neglect. Silence was strategy. There were moments you wanted to speak, moments you wanted to explain yourself, moments you wanted to correct lies or defend your character, but something inside you restrained you. That wasn't fear, that was God. He was protecting you from interfering with his process. Because when you fight battles God never assigned you, you delay the justice he already planned. Divine justice operates on spiritual law, not emotional impulse. Every action produces a consequence. Every intention releases energy. People are not judged only by what they do openly, but by what they harbor privately. God weighs motives, not appearances. That is why some people seem to prosper while doing wrong and others suffer while doing right. The scales are not visible to human eyes, but they are always balanced. You didn't need to expose anyone. You didn't need to warn others. You didn't need to retaliate. God already saw the entire picture, not just the chapter you were hurt in. He saw patterns. He saw intentions. He saw what was done behind closed doors and what was spoken in secret. And when God sees enough, he doesn't rush. He resolves. This is why divine justice often feels sudden to humans. To you, it looks like something happened overnight. But in the spiritual realm, it was being constructed piece by piece. Conversations you never heard, doors quietly closing, protection slowly lifting, favor being withdrawn without announcement. People don't fall suddenly. They decline silently before they collapse visibly. And sometimes the justice isn't collapse at all. Sometimes it is confusion, loss of peace, restlessness, inner turmoil, a mind that won't settle, a heart that feels empty even when surrounded by people. That is divine justice. Because the worst punishment for a soul is separation from peace. Chosen ones, hear me carefully now. God does not punish to destroy. He corrects to realign. But when people refuse correction repeatedly, consequences are inevitable. God is patient, but he is not permissive. His mercy has a boundary, and when that boundary is crossed, justice is not delayed anymore. It is released. This is why God told you to keep your hands clean, not because he wanted you to be weak, but because he wanted you to be free. When you don't retaliate, you are not powerless. You are positioned. You are protected from karmic cycles you didn't create. You stay aligned with blessing while others enter lessons they avoided for too long. Divine justice also protects the chosen ones from becoming like the people who hurt them. God refused to let bitterness take root in you. He refused to let you compromise your character for temporary relief. Because your calling requires a clean spirit. You are not meant to carry the weight of revenge. That burden is too heavy for a soul designed to heal and lead. You may not see immediate outcomes, but you will feel shifts. A sudden peace, a release of tension, clarity where confusion once lived. That is the first sign justice has been activated. God always removes the burden from his chosen before he addresses the source of the pain. He frees you internally before he corrects externally. Let me say this slowly so it settles deep. God does not need your help to handle what hurt you. Your obedience was enough. Your silence was enough. Your restraint was enough. Heaven recorded it all. And now the same God who asked you to wait is telling you to rest. Because when divine justice moves, it does not require witnesses. It only requires alignment. Some of you are still looking for validation. You want proof that God acted, but faith doesn't wait for evidence. Faith recognizes peace as confirmation. The calm you feel now is not random. It is a signal. Something has been resolved. And here is another truth many don't tell you. When God executes justice, he often removes your emotional attachment to the outcome. That is how you know it is him. You no longer care to watch. You no longer seek updates. You no longer need explanations. That detachment is protection. God is shielding you from entanglement while he completes his work. Chosen ones, justice is not always loud. It doesn't always announce itself, but it is always accurate. And it always arrives on time. What you are feeling right now is not confusion. It is closure forming quietly. And when closure comes from God, it doesn't reopen. Trust the silence. Trust the stillness. God is not inactive. He is exact. Let me go even deeper, because some of you are still unlearning the habits survival taught you. You were conditioned to believe that if you don't speak up, nothing will change. That if you don't defend yourself, you will be overlooked. But God had to break that mindset in you. He had to teach you that his authority is greater than your voice, and his timing is stronger than your urgency. What felt like waiting was actually elevation in disguise. Divine justice also works through separation. God removes access before he applies correction. He distances you so you are not emotionally present when consequences unfold. This is mercy toward you. Not everything needs to be witnessed. Some chapters must be closed quietly so you can move forward clean, without residue from the past. And understand this: when God handles a situation, he doesn't just deal with one action, he addresses the root. That's why outcomes may seem unrelated on the surface, but nothing is random. What looks like coincidence is often correction disguised as circumstance. If you ever wondered why God insisted you stay silent, it's because your silence allowed truth to surface without distortion. People reveal themselves when there is no opposition. And once they do, God no longer needs your testimony. Their own actions speak loudly enough. Chosen ones release the need to understand every detail. You were never meant to carry the full picture. Your role was obedience, not investigation. Now that justice is in motion, your only assignment is peace. Let God finish what he started. Justice hit her hours ago. What this means spiritually. Chosen ones, now we come to the part that stirred your spirit when you first heard the words, "Justice hit her hours ago." Let me explain what this truly means. Not in fear, not in pride, but in spiritual understanding. Because if you misunderstand this moment, you might miss the peace God is offering you right now. When God says justice has already been released, he is not speaking in human time. He is speaking from an eternal position. God does not wait for approval. He does not need witnesses. He does not need validation. When he decides something, it is settled in the spiritual realm first. Long before you see movement in the physical, the matter has already been concluded where it matters most. So when I say justice hit her hours ago, understand this. Something shifted that you were never meant to monitor. Chosen ones often think justice must look like punishment. But spiritually, justice begins as removal. Removal of peace. Removal of clarity. Removal of protection. Removal of alignment. That is why some people appear fine on the outside, but are breaking internally. God starts where no one else can see. He addresses the soul before he ever touches circumstances. You must hear this clearly so you don't misinterpret what's happening. Divine justice is not revenge. It is correction. It is balance being restored. It is truth responding to deception. And when God corrects, he does not consult emotions. He consults order. There are people who hurt you, misrepresented you, drained you, or opposed you quietly. They assumed nothing would happen because you stayed silent. They mistook God's patience for permission. But patience is not approval. It is space for repentance. And when repentance does not come, justice follows naturally. When justice hits spiritually, it often shows up as internal unrest. The mind becomes noisy. Sleep becomes disturbed. Peace becomes unreachable. Decisions become confusing. Favor dries up without explanation. These are not accidents. These are indicators of divine recalibration. And here is something most people never realize. Justice does not always mean loss. Sometimes it means exposure to self, being forced to sit with who you really are, being confronted by the truth you avoided. That can be far more uncomfortable than any external consequence. Chosen ones, God spared you from seeing this process for a reason. You are not meant to take pleasure in it. You are not meant to analyze it. You are not meant to feel validated by someone else's discomfort. That would pull you out of alignment. God removed you emotionally before He acted so your spirit would remain clean. If you're wondering why you suddenly stopped caring, why the urge to check, explain, or prove disappeared, that is not indifference, that is release. God cut the emotional cord so you could move forward without residue. That is how you know justice is real. Because it freed you first. Let me speak directly to your heart now. You were never meant to fight this battle. That's why every time you tried to speak, it felt wrong. Every time you tried to act, something blocked you. God was preserving you from contamination. He knew that what was coming required your hands to be clean and your spirit to be light. Justice hitting hours ago doesn't mean something dramatic happened in the physical world. It means a spiritual decision was executed. And spiritual decisions always unfold quietly before they manifest visibly. Sometimes they never manifest visibly at all. Sometimes the lesson stays internal, where only God and that person know what shifted. And that is enough. Because justice is not about spectacle, it is about alignment. You may notice subtle changes now. Your breathing feels easier, your mind feels clearer, your prayers feel lighter. You're no longer replaying conversations. You're no longer asking why. That is not because the pain wasn't real. It's because the assignment is over. God does not keep His chosen ones stuck in emotional loops. When a lesson is complete, He releases you. That release is what you are feeling now. A calm that doesn't need explanation. A peace that doesn't require closure conversations. A knowing that doesn't need evidence. This is what spiritual justice feels like on your side. And listen carefully, because this part is important. When God handles something, He often allows people to believe nothing happened. That is intentional, because true justice does not need applause. It doesn't need acknowledgement. It simply restores balance and moves on. God does not humiliate unless humility was repeatedly rejected, and even then, He prefers correction over destruction. So if you don't see chaos, don't assume nothing occurred. Silence after injustice is often the sound of God working. Chosen ones, this moment is not about them. It's about you stepping into a lighter season, a wiser season, a season where you trust God enough to stop watching the past. Justice hitting spiritually also means access has changed, influence has shifted, authority has been reassigned. Some people lose spiritual covering and don't realize it until life starts feeling heavier. That is not your concern. Your concern is staying aligned. You are not meant to circle back. You are not meant to re-engage. You are not meant to reopen doors God already closed. When justice moves, God seals the chapter. Revisiting it only delays your forward momentum. Let me reassure you of this. Nothing that happened to you was ignored. Nothing was minimized. Nothing was misunderstood by God. He saw the intentions behind the actions. He heard the words spoken when you weren't present, and He weighed it all carefully, and then He acted. You don't need to celebrate. You don't need to explain. You don't need to warn anyone. You only need to remain still and let the peace settle. That peace is not temporary. It is confirmation. Justice has already moved. Your spirit knows it. And now, your only assignment is to walk forward without carrying what God already resolved. Why God allowed it to go this far? Chosen ones, this is the question many of you have been asking quietly, late at night, when no one else could hear your thoughts. Why did God allow it to go this far? Why didn't He stop it sooner? Why did He let you be misunderstood, mistreated, stretched and tested for so long? Let me answer you with truth. Not comfort alone, but clarity. God never allows pain without purpose, and He never allows anything to touch His chosen ones unless it will ultimately strengthen them, refine them, or reposition them. What you experienced was not random. It was permitted, not because God enjoyed watching you endure, but because there were layers in you that could only be developed under pressure. God allowed it to go this far because you were stronger than you realized, and because the assignment on your life requires depth, not surface-level faith. There are lessons you cannot learn through ease. Discernment does not grow in comfort. Wisdom does not mature in applause. Authority is not formed when everything goes your way. God was preparing you for a level of responsibility that requires emotional stability, spiritual maturity, and the ability to remain grounded when misunderstood. If God had intervened early, you might have been spared pain, but you would have missed discernment. You would have remained open where you needed boundaries. You would have stayed emotionally accessible to people who were never meant to walk with you long term. God was not just protecting you from others. He was teaching you how to protect yourself without hardening your heart. Chosen ones, God allowed it to go far enough for patterns to be revealed. At first, it looked like isolated incidents, small moments of discomfort you tried to excuse. You gave the benefit of the doubt. You believed the best. You hoped things would change. But over time, the pattern became undeniable, and that is when clarity came. God wanted you to see clearly, without emotional attachment blinding your judgment. You don't walk away from lessons you haven't fully learned. God allowed the situation to unfold completely so that when it ended, you would never question whether leaving was right. There would be no confusion, no guilt, no temptation to return. Closure was built into the experience. God also allowed it to go this far to expose hearts, not just theirs, but yours as well. You learned where you overgave, where you over-explained, where you took responsibility for things that were never yours. You learned how deeply you value peace, how much you crave honesty, how sensitive your spirit is to inconsistency. These revelations were not meant to shame you. They were meant to guide you. Chosen ones often don't realize their own limits until those limits are tested. God allowed the stretching so you would learn when to stop pouring, when to step back, when silence is wisdom and not avoidance. You were learning spiritual self-respect. And let me say this clearly because many of you still wrestle with it. God allowed it to go this far because you were not meant to be rescued prematurely. Rescued too early can create dependence. Deliverance at the wrong time can stunt growth. God was raising you to stand, not to be carried. He wanted you to develop the internal strength to walk away without needing validation, apology, or explanation. That level of independence is necessary for the calling on your life. There are places God is taking you where emotional dependency would be dangerous. There are roles you will occupy where people will misunderstand you again, where decisions will be questioned, where obedience will require solitude. God was preparing your nervous system, your emotions, and your faith to remain steady under pressure. He was teaching you how to trust Him when outcomes are delayed. Chosen ones, God also allowed it to go this far because timing matters in justice. Justice released too early can be misinterpreted. Correction applied before awareness can be rejected. God waited until truth was undeniable, even to those involved. He waited until excuses ran out, until intentions were revealed through repeated choices. Only then did justice become unavoidable. This protects you from doubt. If God had intervened sooner, part of you would still wonder if you overreacted, if you misunderstood, if things could have been different. Now, you know. And that knowing brings peace. God also allowed it to go this far because your obedience needed to be complete. You obeyed when it hurt. You stayed kind when it would have been easier to withdraw. You remained respectful when others weren't. That obedience was recorded, not overlooked, not minimized. Heaven witnessed your restraint, and restraint is a form of strength God honors deeply. Some blessings require proof of maturity. God does not promote based on intention alone. He promotes based on demonstrated character. You demonstrated patience. You demonstrated faith. You demonstrated self-control. And now those qualities qualify you for what's next. Let me speak to the part of you that still feels tired. God saw the exhaustion. He saw the moments you wanted to give up. He saw the prayers where you didn't even know what to say anymore. He allowed it to go this far because he knew the outcome would not break you. It would free you, and freedom gained through endurance is not fragile. You won't repeat the same cycles. You won't tolerate the same patterns, not because you are hardened, but because you are educated. Spiritually educated, emotionally aware, grounded in truth. This season taught you to listen to God's quiet nudges, to trust discomfort as information, to honor peace as direction. These lessons will serve you for the rest of your life. And here is something important you need to understand now. God didn't delay because he was unsure. He delayed because he was thorough. When God finishes something, it doesn't reopen. When he closes a chapter, it stays closed. He allowed everything to surface so there would be no loose ends pulling you back. Chosen ones, what you endured was not a mistake. It was training. It was refinement. It was preparation for a version of you that could not exist without that experience. Now that it has gone far enough, God has stepped in, not to punish you, but to protect you, not to shame others, but to restore balance, and not to keep you in the past, but to release you into what's next. You didn't waste time, you were being built. And now, the lesson is complete. Let me add this final layer because some of you still carry a quiet grief over how long it lasted. You grieve not only what happened, but how much of yourself you gave during that season. You wonder who you could have been if it had ended sooner. But hear me clearly now. Nothing you gave was lost. God does not waste obedience. He does not discard endurance. Every ounce of patience you poured out became spiritual capital. It strengthened your discernment, deepened your compassion, and sharpened your awareness of truth. God allowed it to go this far because he was preparing you to walk away without anger in your heart. That is rare. That is power. Anyone can leave in rage. Very few can leave in peace. And peace is what keeps doors open in the future that anger would shut permanently. You also needed to see that you can survive disappointment without losing faith, that you can be hurt without becoming bitter, that you can be stretched without breaking. These realizations build unshakable confidence, not in people, but in God within you. And finally, God allowed it to go this far so you would never doubt his presence in silence again. You now know that even when he appears quiet, he is deeply involved. That knowledge will anchor you through future seasons. You are no longer afraid of waiting. You understand it. This wasn't delay, it was divine preparation. What changes now for the chosen ones? Chosen ones, now we shift from understanding to movement. Because when God finishes a lesson, life does not stay the same. Something changes. Not loudly, not suddenly in ways others can see right away, but deeply, internally. And from that inner shift, everything else begins to realign. What changes now is you. The first thing you will notice is peace returning in unexpected ways. Not excitement, not emotional highs, just a steady calm. Your mind no longer races the way it used to. You're not replaying old conversations. You're not imagining alternate endings. The mental noise begins to quiet. That is not because you stopped caring. It's because the burden was lifted. God removed the assignment from your spirit. You are no longer responsible for holding things together. Clarity follows peace. You begin to see situations without emotional fog. You recognize patterns faster. You trust your discernment without second-guessing it. Where you once hesitated, you now pause with confidence. You don't rush to respond. You don't feel the urge to explain yourself. Silence no longer feels uncomfortable. It feels powerful. This is a major change for the chosen ones. You are stepping into a season where your energy becomes selective. You no longer give everyone access to your inner world. You understand that not everyone deserves to hear your thoughts, your plans, or your prayers. This is not secrecy. It is stewardship. God is teaching you to guard what he is growing. Another change you will feel is emotional detachment without coldness. You care, but you are no longer entangled. You love, but you are not drained. You observe, but you are not absorbed. This balance is maturity. It allows you to remain kind without being consumed. God is restoring your sense of self. During the previous season, you may have lost touch with who you were before the weight, before the confusion, before the constant emotional management. Now, you begin to feel like yourself again. Your creativity returns, your curiosity returns, your ability to enjoy simple things returns. Laughter feels lighter. Rest feels deeper. This is restoration in motion. You will also notice that your tolerance for chaos has decreased. What you once endured now feels unbearable. That is not impatience. That is alignment. When God elevates you internally, environments that don't match your growth become uncomfortable. This discomfort is not meant to be fixed. It is meant to move you. Relationships change too. Some connections naturally fade without conflict. Conversations shorten. Access decreases. You don't force distance. It just happens. God is reorganizing your relational landscape. He is removing unnecessary emotional labor so you can focus on what truly matters. At the same time, new connections may feel different. Calmer, more balanced, less draining. You'll notice mutual respect, not constant explanation. Ease replaces effort. This is how you'll recognize what belongs in your next season. Another important change is how you respond to triggers. Things that once unsettled you no longer have the same effect. You don't react immediately. You don't internalize everything. You breathe. You observe. You choose your response. This emotional regulation is not accidental. It is the fruit of what you endured. You earned this stability. God is also strengthening your trust in His guidance. You don't need constant signs anymore. You don't panic when answers are delayed. You've seen enough to know that God is always working, even in silence. This trust brings confidence, not arrogance, quiet assurance. Chosen ones, your prayers are changing too. You are no longer praying for clarity about the past. You are praying for wisdom for the future. You're not asking God to fix people. You're asking Him to align your steps. Your prayers are becoming more focused, more intentional. That is growth. Your identity is stabilizing. You no longer measure your worth by how others respond to you. Compliments don't inflate you. Criticism doesn't crush you. You know who you are, and when identity is secure, external validation loses its grip. This is a powerful place to be. God is also giving you authority in subtle ways. People listen differently now. Your presence carries weight without effort. You don't have to assert yourself. Your calm speaks for you. Your boundaries speak for you. This authority is not forced. It is recognized. And listen carefully to this next part. You are being protected from going backwards. There may be moments when old memories surface or familiar emotions try to resurface. But you'll notice something new. They don't pull you in. They pass through without attachment. This is how you know the chapter is closed. You can remember without reliving. God is also redirecting your focus. Instead of looking back for understanding, you're looking forward with curiosity. New ideas form, new desires emerge, new assignments begin to make sense. You're not chasing anything. You're positioning yourself, and this shift requires stillness. God is asking you to move slowly now, to rest, to observe, to integrate what you've learned. This is not stagnation, this is stabilization. He is anchoring you before He elevates you. Chosen ones, you are entering a season of quiet strength, a season where you don't need to announce growth. You simply live it. Where you don't need to explain healing, you embody it. What changes now is not just what happens around you, it's how you move through life. With less weight, more wisdom, clearer boundaries, deeper trust. And that change is permanent. And let me add this because it will help you move with confidence instead of hesitation. You may notice that your intuition feels sharper now. You sense when to engage and when to step back, when to speak and when silence will do more than words ever could. This discernment is not anxiety, it is alignment. You are no longer second-guessing what your spirit is picking up because experience has trained you to trust it. Another quiet change is how you view time. You are no longer in a rush to make things happen. You understand that what is meant for you does not require force. That patience is not delay when God is involved. This releases pressure from your decisions and allows you to move with grace instead of urgency. Most importantly, you are learning to enjoy peace without guilt. You no longer feel like you must earn rest through suffering. You are beginning to accept that joy is allowed, that ease does not mean disobedience, and that calm seasons are just as purposeful as challenging ones. This is not the end of your journey. It is the beginning of a wiser way of walking it. Your role moving forward, walking clean after justice. Chosen ones, now that justice has moved, your responsibility changes. Not in a heavy way, but in a sacred way. This is the part where many people lose alignment, not because they did something wrong before, but because they don't understand how to move after God has acted. Your role moving forward is to walk clean. Walking clean does not mean pretending nothing happened. It means refusing to carry residue from a season God already closed. It means you don't rehearse old pain, you don't revisit old conversations, and you don't reopen emotional doors just to see if they still lead somewhere. God closed them for a reason. The first thing you must guard is your heart. After justice, there is often a temptation to feel validated, to feel justified, to feel proven right. But validation can quietly turn into pride if you're not careful. God didn't act to elevate your ego. He acted to protect your spirit. Stay humble. Humility keeps your heart light and your path clear. Do not speak more than necessary. You don't need to explain what happened. You don't need to tell your side. You don't need to hint, expose, or clarify. Silence now is not weakness, it is wisdom. When God handles something, He seals it. Talking about it reopens doors that were closed for your peace. Chosen ones, restraint is your protection. Another important role you have is to resist emotional re-engagement. Some people may sense the shift and try to reconnect. Not always to heal, but to regain access. Be discerning. You are not required to respond to every message, emotion, or memory. Access to you is no longer automatic. It is intentional. This is not bitterness. This is boundaries. Walking clean also means guarding your thoughts. Justice doesn't mean you replay scenarios in your mind and imagine outcomes. That keeps you spiritually tied to the past. When thoughts try to pull you backward, gently redirect your focus. Your future requires your attention. God also asks you to remain teachable. Even after vindication, stay open to growth. Don't assume you have nothing left to learn. Every season leaves wisdom behind. Reflect, but don't dwell. Learn, but don't live there. Another key part of walking clean is forgiveness without access. Forgiveness does not require reconnection. It does not require explanation. It does not require reconciliation. It simply means you release the hold the situation had on your emotions. Forgiveness is for your freedom, not their comfort. God honors this deeply. You are also being called to protect your peace intentionally. This means saying no without guilt, leaving environments that drain you, choosing rest over constant productivity. You no longer need chaos to feel purposeful. Peace is now your default setting. Let me say something important here. After justice, the enemy often tries distraction. Not through obvious attacks, but through subtle pulls, old habits, old emotions, old temptations. Not to harm you, but to slow you down. Stay alert. You don't need to fight. Just stay focused. Walking clean also means staying aligned with God's voice. You've learned how He speaks to you. Through nudges, through stillness, through discomfort. Trust that. Don't override it with logic or emotion. God's guidance will feel calm. even when it leads you into something new. Chosen ones, protect your words. Speak life. Speak gratitude. Speak vision. Avoid negativity disguised as realism. What you say now carries more weight than before. Your words are aligning with your authority. Another responsibility you have is to not seek closure from people when God already gave you closure. Human closure is incomplete. Divine closure is final. Accept it. You don't need one last conversation. You don't need apologies. You don't need acknowledgement. Closure has already happened in your spirit. Walking clean also means not comparing your journey to others. Justice unfolds differently for everyone. Stay in your lane. Focus on your assignment. Comparison pulls you out of alignment faster than almost anything else. And finally, let me remind you of this. Your peace is sacred now. Protect it like you would protect something priceless, because it is. Peace is the evidence that God has done what He promised, and anything that threatens it is not meant to stay. Chosen ones, walking clean after justice is not about perfection, it's about intention. Stay intentional, stay grounded, stay humble, and you will move forward without weight, without fear, and without looking back. Conclusion: confirmation, peace, and divine alignment. Chosen ones, take a moment and let everything settle. This message reached you because God knew you were ready to hear it. Not when the pain was loud, but when the peace was beginning to return. That timing is not accidental. It is divine. God saw everything you endured. The silence, the restraint, the obedience when it would have been easier to react. And He handled what you could not without damaging your spirit. Justice has already been released, and because of that, you are free. Free from replaying the past. Free from self-doubt. Free from carrying weight that was never yours to hold. You don't need proof. You don't need explanations. The calm in your spirit is confirmation enough. When God moves, He doesn't always announce it, but He always restores peace to His chosen ones. Now your assignment is simple. Rest. Stay aligned. Walk forward with wisdom and humility. Do not look back for validation. Do not reopen doors God closed for your protection. What is ahead of you requires a lighter heart and a clear mind. If this message resonated with your spirit, chosen ones, give a like to this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, tap the bell icon, and share this message with other chosen ones who need this confirmation. And comment 777 in the comments to declare that you trust God's timing and remain aligned with your divine purpose. Remain still, remain faithful. God is not finished with you yet.